Top lane is one of the most straightforward roles in the entire game, or at least that's what people think. Truth is, a lot of lower rated players make tons of mistakes that end up being detrimental later on into the game. So today we're going to be covering 5 different mistakes that you are probably making in your own games. So make sure you smash the like button, subscribe, and head over to our website, GameLeap.com, where you can get your GameLeap premium membership for just 50% of its normal price. That's right, we're doing a 50% off sale right now, so click the link in the description below if you want all of our premium content for just half the price. Now, without further ado, let's get right into that first mistake. And this one happens right away, level 1. A lot of players at level 1 don't really know whether they should be pushing the lane or if they should let the wave push to them. And this is something that does take a little bit of thought, but it doesn't have anything to do with your level 1 itself. Yes, there are some level 1 champions like Irelia, Jax, Trundle, Olaf, Darius that can just run you down at level 1 and kill you. But most champions in the top lane can't do this. So unless you're playing against one of those champions with level 1 kill threat, you should be looking at your level 2 or level 3. You see, if you slightly lose the lane at level 1, but you hard win at level 2, in that case, you definitely want to fight for the level 2, because even if you're down just 50 to 100 HP, if you hard win the level 2, it doesn't matter. As soon as you hit that level 2, you can get a good trade, and that's always going to be beneficial for you. If you also win level 3, then you can take a much slower push and look for a dive at level 3. However, if you lose level 2 and 3, instead you should just let the wave push to you. General rule of thumb is if you can win the level 2 all in, then you should fight for level 2. And if you win from level 3 onward, then it's okay to look for a push, because that push will crash into the enemy tower and then reset, pushing back towards you. What this means is then you will be able to have a freeze. You will win the trade at level 3, which means the enemy top laner is not going to be able to just shove the wave into you and crash the wave into your tower. This allows you to create a long lane, which creates opportunity, opportunities to trade, opportunities to get a gank from your jungler. This is the best way to get wave control, and that is why you should always push if you win at level 3. Sometimes this isn't possible. Sometimes you're just going to lose the matchup at level 3 and you have to wait till level 6 or even later before you can actually win the matchup. And in these cases, there's not much you can do, and you should not try to push, because if you do end up pushing and you're not able to finish crashing the wave into the tower at level 3, then you're stuck in a really bad spot. The enemy top laner can just freeze the wave right outside their tower, and that makes it really hard for you to play the lane phase. It's really important for you to know who wins the lane at level 1, 2, and 3, because that's going to allow you to decide what you should do with the wave early on, even at level 1. Again, if you win levels 2 and 3, you push. If you lose levels 2 and 3, you should just let the wave push to you. Now, next up, if we're talking about top lane, we have to talk about teleport. Now, not everybody takes teleport in low elo, but if you want to play the game right, then you should be taking teleport. You need to learn how to use it, and you need to learn how to use it right. It is okay for you to take ignite or ghost if you're just looking to snowball the lane phase, but eventually you're going to have to learn how to use teleport while you're climbing up the ladder. Now, there are a few different things that we need to keep in mind with teleport in order to make sure that we're actually using it well. The first thing is that TP is not to be used exclusively to TP back to your lane and pick up farm. Yes, this will result in you picking up so much farm in EXP, and it means that you'll barely miss the entire laning phase, but teleport has so much stronger usages. If you use it to pick up farm multiple times, then you're not going to have it off cooldown for other bigger, better things. The first teleport is okay to be used back to the lane, but past that point, you should be looking to use it elsewhere on the map. Now, ideally, you want to be able to use this ability to get 1 or 2 ganks or counter ganks off during the lane phase. This allows you to put your team ahead, which then allows them to win the map. A good teleport can result in multiple kills in the bot lane as well as Drake. Now, something that a lot of top laners ask me is, how can I teleport without losing minions? Well, you want to make sure that if you are looking to teleport, you always have a push, because that's going to result in the least amount of minions lost. But the second thing that you got to keep in mind is that no matter what, you're going to lose minions for teleporting. This play is trading some of your resources to get the rest of your team ahead. One really important decision you need to make before you actually teleport is whether or not you can afford to leave your lane for a minute or two unattended. If the enemy top laner is going to get too much for you teleporting somewhere else and you're not going to get enough back in return, then don't teleport. You always need to keep in mind that you are going to lose out on minions while you teleport, and the enemy top laner, if they don't teleport, isn't. So basically, when you teleport and the enemy top laner doesn't, you need to make the decision that you don't need those minions in order to win the lane. You should always assume that the enemy top laner is going to play very greedy and they will not match your teleport. This is the best way to play things through. If they do match your teleport, then it turns into a team fight. But if they don't match your teleport, then they're getting resources on their own while you're not. Once you establish this habit, then it's pretty easy to kind of tell what will and won't be a good fight for you to teleport to. It's not that hard for most people to tell whether or not they win a fight. Teleporting into the fight doesn't really change that. The only thing that you need to weigh is what you're going to lose out for the teleport. You do want to keep in mind that there is a channel time on teleport though, so if you teleport right on top of somebody, they're just going to walk away. Next up, another core component of top lane, wave management. Now, I've done multiple videos on wave management alone in itself, so I'm not going to go too in depth on this, but most top laners are still messing this up. Keep in mind, if you want to build a lead and deny EXP and gold, the best way to do this is via a freeze. A freeze allows you to be safe and allows you to deny resources from the enemy top laner. This is all that you want. If you are able to force a trade, get a kill, or force the enemy laner back, then you can push out the freeze, crash it into the enemy tower, and give yourself an opportunity to go back to the base, buy, refill your refillable pots, refill your HP, get your cooldowns back. This is all going to be really, really nice as an added benefit, but it is okay to just keep a freeze for an extended period of time, multiple minutes at a time. That is fine. You don't have to go back into the base. You don't have to take trades. A lot of players accidentally break their freeze because they go for a trade that they didn't need to go for. The enemy laner wasn't able to farm anyways, so the freeze was already successful. I do see a lot of players start a freeze, but they'll just break it immediately after. They don't have the discipline to keep an extended freeze, and an extended freeze is what is so strong. Freezing on the enemy top laner is the most punishing thing you can do. It's going to force action from either them or the enemy jungler. Either they have to go and roam or fight you for the wave, or the jungler has to come up and push out the wave. But either way, none of these things are ideal for them. The only time you shouldn't be freezing is when, like I mentioned earlier, you're looking for a teleport play. All right, next up, we got to talk about warding because almost every top laner wards just wrong. There are only 4 ways to gank top lane. You can do it through lane, you can do it through river, you can do it through tri-brush, or you can do it from behind the tower. If you're only warding your tri-brush and the river, then 2 of these are still available to use on you. However, with a pink ward and 2 normal wards, you are able to ward out for all of these. A deep pink ward can spot out enemy lane ganks, and wards in the river and enemy jungle can prevent the enemy jungler from being able to walk anywhere near you without you knowing. Another reason why the wards in tri-brush and the river brush are so bad is because even if you do see the enemy jungler on this ward, a lot of the time it's too late. Deep wards are almost always going to be the best way for you to ward as a top laner. Not only are they more likely to prevent you from dying to a gank, they're more likely to spot out the enemy jungler when they're not coming to gank your lane. Just knowing what side of the map the enemy jungler on is very strong. And if you can use your wards to do that, this means that your team is going to have information that the enemy team won't. If we're being entirely honest, most of the time in most games, the top lane is not going to be ganked all too often. Yes, sometimes you play against that jungler that ganks top 10 times in a single game, but if we analyze all of our games honestly, we can see that a lot of the time the jungler isn't doing this. This means in most games, if we're just putting our wards in river brush and in tri-brush, that we're not going to be getting full value from them because in most of our games, the jungler won't be pathing over the wards all that often. If we're able to get wards that actually show the enemy jungler but still protect us, then this is so much better. While the River Brush and Tri-Brush wards are not terrible wards, yes, they'll let you know if they're being ganked, they're not the best wards you can be using, and that is why it is a mistake to only be placing these wards. Notice how I say you should be putting your pink ward aggressively in the enemy jungle. This is because it denies vision, so if you ever decide to roam into the enemy jungle, it means they won't have defensive vision to see where you are. This can potentially give you opportunities to invade the enemy jungler at their red buff or at their blue buff and get a kill. It's the only reason why I recommend to put the pink ward deep in the enemy jungle. A lot of players recommend to put the pink ward in your own Tri-Brush, but all that does is help your jungler gank, but he's already going to have an Oracle's Lens anyways, so it's a little bit better in my opinion if you play that pink ward aggressively. Finally, let's talk about standing around or doing nothing. Obviously, we want to make sure that we have absolutely no wasted time. This means that every moment we should be looking to do something. If you crash the wave into the enemy tower and you can't hit the enemy tower safely without taking a heavy trade, then instead you should be looking to do other things. You don't just stand outside of the tower range and wait for the minions to walk into you again. The minions aren't going anywhere. The tower will kill your minions and then they'll push out of the range of the tower and then you can push again. While that's happening, you can be doing other things. You can take the enemy camps. You can go get deep vision in the river or in the enemy jungle, or you could roam to the mid lane. If none of these things are possible, you could take the Scuttle, you could take the Rift Herald. There's a lot that you can do while you're not able to currently hit the tower or the minions. You want to make sure that you're not just standing around aimlessly, not getting any gold, not getting any EXP, not getting any damage, right? Because this means you're doing absolutely nothing, and you never want to be doing absolutely nothing. Now, if the wave is pushing back to you, that's completely fine. You can just stand in your lane because that means that you're still getting EXP. I'm talking about when you push up to a tower. I don't want you to just stand outside a range of the tower and wait for the next wave. That is such a waste of time. That's just about everything for today's video on 5 mistakes lower elo top laners make. Make sure to crush that like button and subscribe. You can also head over to our website, GameLeap.com, where we're running a 50% off special right now. That's right, you can get all that juicy premium content for just half the price by clicking the link in the description below today. As always, I'm Panther. I hope you learned something valuable, and I will see you in the next one.